Going on, guys? Straw Hat Brian. I am back again here to deliver my One Piece chapter 884 review for you guys. If you haven't read it, it is out now, so I suggest you do so now. Spoilers will be lurking in this video ahead, so let's just hop right into it, guys. So cover page, man. Cover page, we had EDO catching up back with EDO. EDO is he basically was going to take in the two guys as like captives, but he kind of realized the two guys who were fighting were just they were fighting over the conflict that has been going on for 1,000 years between the Long Arm and the Long Leg tribe. Now, considering that there is like a single long limb being, like, you know, that was shown on the slavery market sheet, that basically the human auction sale that basically had the sheet of paper that told and listed all the prices for each race that was being sold at the auction. So we saw long legs, long arms, and long limbs. So long limbs being basically a combination of the both. So I'm pretty sure at once, or I'm pretty sure there are long legs and long arm members who have come together and then produce and now have a long limb tribe, just where they both have long arms and long limbs, and they are essentially one, where they don't look at one as being the inferior to the other. So I'm pretty sure that's probably what's going on with that. The long arms and long legs, probably they have a conflict that stems back many years, and Blue Gilly and Ideo get along pretty well, and I don't really remember in the Dressrosa arc, I don't remember them having an issue, or I don't remember that being brought up. So maybe that's just giving us insight to like the backstory and the fact that it's mentioned that this is a 1,000-year conflict that has gone on between the two tribes. So they obviously have to have some tie-in with the whole entire One Piece story and like the ancient history and the Void Century and all that. I'm pretty sure all that has to tie in somewhere with something. I've mentioned before that these cover stories, they will eventually all kind of wrap up into some singular piece or chunk of the story that can only be detailed from a single page. So without anything else to cover on the cover page, we're going to actually start covering the actual chapter. So chapter opens, we got Luffy and we got Katakuri. I love the fact that it continued on from last week's chapter, and then we have Luffy giving Dogtooth that work. He is washing Dogtooth at the beginning of this chapter, giving him the hands. He's just making Katakuri look like a piece of dog poop, not a dog tooth. So that's lame. So Luffy figured out that Dogtooth, really, he's not a Logia. He says, you seem like a Logia, you act like a Logia. He was like, but really, he was like, you can still take damage. He's just like basically telling him the special thing about you isn't really your devil fruit abilities. It isn't the fact that you can become intangible. You can't really become intangible. You're not invincible. He's just basically saying what you're able to do is your observation haki is your signature. That is your key fight. That is the key to your fighting style. And then Dogtooth basically reveals to him that that is his trump card. Basically, he uses his observation haki to focus in on where the hits are coming, so that he can adjust his body and change its shape to avoid those hits. So what I think about that is, and the fact that he does admit that he is awakened, so awesome that was confirmed. So awesome that Dogtooth weakness has been shown to us, which is that it's kind of like a Sharingan. His observation haki is kind of like Sharingan. Now, when we first got introduced in Naruto, I'm just using that as an example. When we got first introduced to the Sharingan in Naruto, Sasuke's capabilities, it was basically the true understanding of it was that they can't see into the future. It's just more the fact that they're able to read muscle movements and all that, and but it was kind of like, it gave that perception that can these guys see into the future. So really, it's kind of like the same thing. It's like, yeah, Dogtooth can somewhat see into the future, but he can't predetermine, like, those things that can't be predetermined. Like, he has to inevitably has to also react for the future, to whether to see the future through, or to see his observation hockey vision through all the way to the end, or whether he's just gonna just let everything play out as is. And so it is a powerful ability when you think, like, okay, he does have a mochi ability, so he can change the shape and structure of his own body and hide things inside of his body, and he can also basically manipulate the area around him and use that as an offense capability as well as defensive. So I think he's up there. But what is showcased also is that Dogtooth, mentions that his strategy is being cool, calm, and collected, and it has been a while since he has been hit. He's thinking to himself that when has the last time he's actually fought a formidable foe? So, and then he also notes, like, he can understand why Cracker lost to Luffy, and that's really because underestimating them, and also underestimating Luffy and who he is, as well as Luffy isn't your typical fighter. Like, as everyone also, every villain or everyone who has fought Luffy denotes that Luffy is cut from a different cloth. Luffy's fighting style, everything, even though it might first appear as headstrong, it's a lot of unpredictability behind Luffy's fighting style. And I think that's what makes Luffy so dangerous, is because he's so unpredictable. You don't know what Luffy is gonna do or intends to do, or what his true motives are at times, until his actions just speak louder than the words that he could ever possibly try to formulate. So I think that's really cool, and I really think that it's cool that even though Dogtooth recognizes his own weakness, he's begins to correct that weakness as, like, okay, you provoked me, you got me going a little bit, but now it's time for me to get back on my A game. That's basically how Dogtooth is feeling. So I kind of like that. I definitely like the fact that this fight's not really one-sided, because I think that Oda does have to really showcase to us, can Luffy really come close to fighting a Yonko? And I feel like if we can somewhat gauge the gap between Dogtooth and Big Mom, I think we'll understand where it is, like, where's that power level gap, because it's hard to really to put, like, Big Mom is able to destroy islands, she's able to take on 3 rocket launchers, she's able to stop a punch from Gear 4. So Big Mom, essentially, defense and offense is pretty much up there. Now we really have to see how Luffy fares off against Katakuri at the end of it. But again, it all might just boil down to the fact that Luffy has been fighting and fighting and fighting, where these guys, they're so strong, like, they beat people with the ease, and it's like, how do you grow from such trivial fights? You know what I'm saying? So that's where I think, like, where any Yonko at this point in the story, if they're not careful, if they are not taking the necessary precautions, I think Yonkos can now, at this point in the story, be dethroned. I think it's very possible. And I think from just the whole Whitebeard, Blackbeard scenario in the One Piece story, I think that showcases as well that no longer in the story Yonkos are top-notch, top-tier. They are the ones that everybody needs to be afraid of, because nothing is set in stone in the One Piece story. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So the Katakuri halts Gear 4 with he uses Strength Mochi. So basically he brings turns some of the surrounding mirror world into Mochi, turns them into fists, and basically throws this, like, Kong gun like punch at Luffy, and it's seemingly, it looks like Gear 4 is done for, or Luffy's ran out of time for Gear 4, because Katakuri is basically telling him, like now you're back to square one. So what are you gonna do now? So that's the way that the translation was translated. Well, that the video was, I mean, not the video, the chapter was translated. So that's not the official translation. So maybe we'll see what's gonna happen next. The scene shifts over. We see Oven. He arrives at Cocoa Village. You see Pound basically trying to beg to get in because he saw Lola flying in, and basically he knows that she's in the village and she's making some cake. I'm surprised Pound ended up at Cocoa Village though when he was at the fort. So I'm like, yo, he traveled that far? Like, how did he know to go there? So I thought that was interesting. And Sanji assures Pudding that, you know, Luffy's not gonna lose because Pudding's talking to Brule. Brule's basically telling Pudding, like, you know, yeah, Dogtooth's gonna, you know, eventually smash Luffy. There's nothing that you know, you need to worry about on our end. And then Pudding's basically telling her the same thing back to her. And Sanji basically tells Pudding, like, you know, this is gonna be Dogtooth's first loss if he's never lost, because Luffy's not gonna lose. He's 100% has confidence in his boy, and it's like Luffy just, he knows what to do, and he's like the NBA, he's like the LeBron James. That is Luffy of the Straw Hat Crew. He's the LeBron James, yo. And my boy is like, just give me the ball. It's clutch time. Give me the ball and it's in. I got you. So while everybody's when the scene shifts over and Mondior is communicating with the other Big Mom pirates, Big Mom is destroying all of well, not all of, but basically destroying. She's raging an attack onto Nut Island. So it looks like Big Mom is going to destroy a hefty part of her own territory. Thus, again, like I said, making it possible for a Yonko to be dethroned in this case scenario. Can you imagine if Big Mom loses her title and just becomes another pirate? Just another pirate who's just around on the sailing the seas and trying to make a name for themselves? Like, she already has the name. So it just seems more likely. And then basically we find out that the Intel network is being sabotaged, and that none of the sea slugs can be found, or like there's something strange going on. And then we find out Jinbei is just like questioning, like, you know, we get the little cut chase back to the Straw Hats, and it just shows just Jinbei. He's like, I wonder what happened with the fishmen, and then I wonder if they made it out of the Big Mom's territory, all right. And then little did you know, we saw Chopper mentioning, hey, I see a fishman. It's like, that person's fishing over there. Little do we know, it's just it is the fishmen. Like, they're all probably doing their respective parts in various parts of the ocean of Big Mom's territory. However, the big thing is Praline is luring all the sea slugs. She's singing to the sea slugs and all of the sea creatures and all the oceanic creatures in Big Mom's territory and distracting them from doing their job. I love this chapter. I'm going to rate this chapter a solid 4. Can't give it anything less. This chapter had the comedy, a little bit of comedy. It had the details. It added more details to the actual story, gave us more information about Dogtooth's abilities and his weaknesses, as well as Luffy, whether he is going to stand a fair chance against Dogtooth. And I think it might have run out on Gear 4 in the time limit, but I think Luffy somehow, some way is going to prevail. He's going to think of something. He might combine Gear 3 and Gear 2, and maybe that is Gear 4, or maybe he might combine something else. Maybe he might figure out a new gear. Maybe he might a Gear 2.5 or something. Like, who knows? But I do think that we have yet to see a Red Hawk face off, or stronger Gear 4 Red Hawk. So maybe it might be another one shot case scenario where he's gonna one shot Katakuri like he did Doflamingo, but probably with a Red Hawk Kong gun. That's what I'm thinking. Red Hawk King Kong gun. That's what I'm thinking. So that's my theory. That's my prediction. I do think that the Straw Hats will meet up. I do not think Luffy's gonna. I do not think Oven's gonna fight Sanji. I think that the Germa will show up. I do believe that the Germa will beat Oven, and I do believe for Sanji to deliver the cake, because maybe Ichiji might tell Sanji like, it's blasphemy for you to be working with them. We should take the girl. We should initiate our own plan, stick to the main plan, and just turn the tides on the big moms and do it our way. And Sanji's gonna be against it, and he's gonna probably, and then we'll probably see the fight that Sanji will redeem himself, and then that eventually when they see Sanji's true strength, his brothers will recognize him as being either superior or being deserving of recognition. So that's what I believe. I believe that Sanji still has to prove himself to Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji. So we have yet to see where they plan to where their role will take, but I do think it will be Yonji, Niji, Ichiji fight. It has to happen. Like, there needs to be some family clarity. Like, Judge and Sanji are good, but we all know Sanji and his siblings, not so much. Sanji's good with Reiju, but not his brothers. So that was my review of One Piece chapter 884. Please like, share, subscribe. Please have a wonderful day.